My neighbor's kids keep destroying my garden, and their mom says I should be more understanding. So I guess I need Reddit to tell me if I've officially crossed the line into cranky neighbor territory, because I feel like I'm losing my mind over this. Some background: I, 32F, bought my house about 3 years ago. It's nothing fancy, just a little 2-bedroom with a decent yard, but it was my first real, adult purchase. I'm not married, no kids, so the house and the yard are basically my sanctuary. The yard, specifically, has been my pride and joy. I've always loved gardening: flowers, herbs, tomatoes, even a little raised bed with strawberries. It's where I de-stress. After a long day at work, I can sit on my porch, smell the lavender, and feel like I actually have my life together. My neighbors moved in about a year after me. We'll call them the Johnsons. The mom, Amanda, is maybe late 30s, 2 kids, a boy around 9 and a girl maybe 6, and I think a husband who's around sometimes, though I hardly ever see him. At first, I was thrilled to have neighbors with kids, because I thought, great, I'll have that cute neighborhood vibe, maybe babysit sometimes, trade cookies at Christmas, whatever. Yeah, no. From the start, the kids treated my yard like a public playground. At first it was small things: they'd cut through my yard to chase a ball, or pick flowers without asking. I figured, they're kids, they don't know better, and I'd wave it off. I didn't want to be the weird lady yelling about tulips. But it escalated. I came home one day and found them literally digging in my raised bed like it was a sandbox. My little strawberry plants were ripped out and tossed aside like weeds. When I asked them what they were doing, the boy just shrugged and said, "We're making mud pies." I was so stunned I just said, "You can't do that. This is my garden." They ran off, and I figured it was done. Until I went out the next morning and saw footprints all through my lavender patch. The flowers were crushed. The soil was kicked everywhere. And guess what? The kids had left their plastic shovels stuck in the dirt. That's when I marched over to Amanda's house. She opened the door with this huge smile, like I was there to borrow sugar. I explained, as politely as I could, that her kids had been playing in my garden and causing damage. I told her about the strawberries and the lavender. Her smile didn't even falter. She just goes, "They didn't mean any harm. You know how kids are. They just have so much energy. I'm sure your plants will grow back." I stood there, blinking. Because, yes, technically plants can regrow, but that doesn't erase the fact that I'd spent months tending them. I tried again, saying, "I really need them to stay out of my yard. This is my property, and I work hard on my garden." She gave me this little laugh and said, "Well, maybe you should think about putting up a fence if it bothers you so much." Excuse me. I went home fuming. I don't have the money right now to build a full fence, and honestly, I shouldn't have to build one just to keep someone else's kids from stomping on my flowers. Fast forward a couple weeks. I tried to just keep an eye out, but I work full-time. I can't exactly stand guard over my hydrangeas 24/7. Sure enough, I started noticing more damage. A tomato plant snapped in half. My basil stripped of its leaves. The little ceramic gnome my niece gave me for Christmas. Broken in two like someone had thrown it. One Saturday, I actually caught them red-handed again. I was pulling weeds on the side of the house when I heard giggling. I walked around, and there they were. The boy had yanked up one of my tomato stakes and was using it like a sword while the girl stomped on a row of marigolds. I lost it. I yelled, "You cannot play here. This is my garden, not your playground." The boy literally rolled his eyes at me. Rolled his eyes. Then he muttered, "Mom said you wouldn't care." At that point, steam might as well have been pouring out of my ears. I marched them back to Amanda's door and told her point blank, "Your kids are not allowed in my yard. They're destroying my garden. This needs to stop now." Amanda gave me this look, like I was the unreasonable one, and said, "They're just kids. They're not hurting anyone. Maybe if you were a mom, you'd understand how hard it is to keep them entertained." I snapped back, "Being a mom doesn't mean your kids get to trash other people's property." Her smile finally cracked, and she goes, "Wow. Okay. I didn't realize you were so selfish." Selfish? For not wanting my garden destroyed. After that, things got icy. She stopped waving when we saw each other. Her kids would glare at me when they ran by. I even overheard the boy whisper to his sister, "That's the mean lady." I tried to just ignore it. I really did. But last week was the final straw. I'd been working for months on this little patch of sunflowers. They were finally blooming, tall and gorgeous. I was so proud of them. I even took pictures to send to my mom. 2 days later, I came home and found them snapped in half. Every single one. Snapped. The stalks were bent and broken, petals scattered on the ground like confetti. I actually sat down on the porch and cried. Not because they were just flowers, but because it felt like all my effort, all my care, was just being trampled on, literally. I marched over to Amanda's again, shaking with anger, and said, "This has to stop. Your kids destroyed my sunflowers." She didn't even look sorry. She just sighed and said, "Look, I'm sorry you're upset, but at the end of the day, they're kids. They're curious. You can always plant more flowers. But they're only young once. Don't you think it's more important to let them enjoy themselves?" I swear, my jaw nearly hit the floor. I told her, enjoying themselves does not mean destroying what isn't theirs. If this keeps happening, I'm going to have to call someone, the HOA, the police, whoever. That's when she huffed and said, "Go ahead. Make a fool of yourself over some plants. Everyone will see who the real problem is." Then she slammed the door in my face. So now I'm stuck. Part of me wants to follow through and call the HOA. They're sticklers about property stuff, so I think they'd take my side. Another part of me worries it'll just make things uglier, and I have to live next to these people. But I can't keep watching my garden get destroyed. I can't keep being called selfish for wanting to protect something I love. Every time I look at my yard now, I just feel this pit in my stomach, wondering what I'll find broken next.